Thank you, Voice of God, also known as Mark Benoit. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Gracie Mansion. This is the people's house. This is your house, and you are always welcome here. On this special occasion, we are celebrating a man who has given so much to the city we all love. Happy birthday, Mayor Dinkins, and to you and Joyce, welcome back home. Now, most of you know that I would not be standing here if it were not for Mayor Dinkins. And that's true for so many of us here tonight. And like many of you, I am tremendously grateful to Mayor Dinkins for the opportunity I had to work in his administration. It was an opportunity that literally changed the course of my life. And why, you might ask? Well, one of the reasons was the way he modeled what it means to devote one's life to public service. The man worked hard. I couldn't understand how he did it day after day after day, but he got so much done. And he provided New Yorkers with a powerful example of a leader who is strong and compassionate. He is also a man of great courage and persistence. Just imagine the obstacles he had to overcome as New York City's first and so far only African-American mayor. The pressure was enormous. The expectations impossibly high. And on top of that, he came into office at a divisive time when tensions were flaring among many of New York's communities, and with a bad economy and so many people struggling financially. A lesser leader would have crumbled under those circumstances, but Mayor Dinkins did not let any of that get to him. Of course, he had a very patient, supportive, and loving partner. What would he have done without Joyce? And of course, his life, his military service, his experience in politics all taught him that change is always possible, as long as you're willing to work at it, work hard enough to achieve it. And that's what he did, and with such amazing grace. He was bold. His administration was more diverse than any that preceded it. Yeah, that's right. You can clap for that. He spoke of all of us as New York's gorgeous mosaic, as the city's greatest strength. And he governed to lift all New Yorkers, fighting for people's rights for safer streets, more affordable housing, and better schools. It shouldn't have surprised anyone that he didn't stop fighting when he left City Hall. He has battled for HIV/AIDS services, fought to save the lives and homes of elderly jazz and blues musicians, and of course, he continues to crusade for New York's children, their health and their well-being. That's because he truly believes, as he often says, that the children are our future. Now, I know he's gone from carrying photos of all the administration's babies in his jacket pocket to carrying them on his cell phone, but the love and caring is still there. I have to tell you that not so long ago, he invited our own children, Kiara and Dante, out to dinner so he could share his knowledge and wisdom with him, which meant so much to them. I could say, I don't know how he's done so much in just 90 years. But it's probably because he just doesn't stop. I've been to events with him, and he'll lean over and ask me, well, where are you going next? How many more? And I'll give him my answer, and he always tops it. He always has more events lined up on his dance card than I do. So he's still going strong, and while I can't explain how he has remained so humble, so kind, so compassionate, throughout everything, I do know that our great city and many New Yorkers, especially me, owe a great deal to Mayor David N. Dinkins. And now, there is one man in particular who thinks about the example Mayor Dinkins sets every single day as he serves the people. He's that other mayor in my life. I'm lucky enough to have two. He's also the love of my life, and I wouldn't have met him if it were not for Mayor David Dinkins. So now, we bring you my partner of 25 years, Mayor Bill Deblasio.
Welcome home, everybody. Isn't it nice to come back in the doors and remember those days when we served this good man? And the good guys have this house right now, but everything we're doing today, there's going to be a lot of Dinkinsisms tonight, so I'm going to use one right now. We stand on the shoulders of many people. And everything we're doing today is because of what he did to blaze the trail and make it possible. So let's thank him right away for that. Shirlane made the point that we all felt many, many times. When we served Mayor Dinkins and we watched every minute of what he did on behalf of the city, and there were some very tough times, my friends. And what was so striking was the strength, the resolve, the restraint, no matter what was thrown at him, the grace. And he taught us all so much. I have learned so many lessons. I did not know they would be applied in this manner. But I learned so many lessons watching this man. And one of them I now need to put into action, because one of the really sad parts of this job is when you have to talk about the loss of a police officer. And we lost Officer Famiglia just days ago. A woman, a single mom, doing everything right in her life, serving the people of this city, gunned down in cold blood, protecting all of us. We're going to lay her to rest tomorrow. But before we get into our celebration, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for Officer Famiglia. Thank you so much. So I look back on those years, and it's, by the way, it is a joy to see so many friends. I want to say that up front. I'm so glad that so many people who work so hard to make David Dinkins our mayor and work so hard to achieve his vision are all gathered here. This is one of those special nights in life, because for a lot of us, I can say I'm one of them, for a lot of us, our lives were changed the day we met Dave Dinkins, and changed for the better. And it was an extraordinary honor. Okay, I have to separate the crowd a little bit. I want anyone who was among the few and the proud and the brave who served on the 1989 campaign, raise your hand right now. Okay? Mr. Mayor, these were the real Marines, okay? By the way, we weren't supposed to win. Did you hear about that? But what an amazing group of people who believed. And it's a moment to remember, in the presence of our leader, we never forget our general, Bill Lynch, do we? So I remember how it all started for all of us. Some of you even go back to the borough president days, but the special, okay, they always lorded over the rest of us because they were the OGs, okay? Some people go back a long way. And then there's people in this room like Arnie Segar and Carl Weisbrod who just worked for everyone ever. But For some of us, that campaign was a coming of age. I know they relegated Patrick Gaspard and I to the back room, to where the most junior people had to be. But it all began with that, and before our eyes, this city was transformed. Because David Dinkins embodied a hope and a sense of change that was never possible before. Now, then we went into City Hall, and remember, we were not expected to be there. That made it all the sweeter, didn't it? And for every one of us, our lives transformed because we understood what it meant to change the lives of the people of the city. And then we personally, the bonds we formed, which are so alive to this day for so many of us. And for me personally, I always take the occasion to thank Mayor Dinkins and say, but for you, I would not have my job, my wife, and my children. So I really want to thank you for that. You never have to, in my personal case, I never have to say, what has David Dinkins done for me lately? I feel it's pretty clear. But he opened the doors for so many of us in so many ways. And countless, countless children in those years understood life differently, understood their possibilities differently. And he knew that. His love of children is so evident, but he also knew that by everything he was doing, he was redefining what their lives could be. And I wish we could meet every young person, now an adult in New York City, who got inspired by David Dinkins and whose trajectory was changed. They are countless. What a blessing that is unto itself. Now, I've given you a lot of praise, Mr. Mayor, all of it deserved, but there is a story that suggests none of it would have been possible without Joyce Dinkins. I'd like to remind you of that. I'm not going to repeat all the greatest hits, but a lot of you know the story. And to all of the members of the Dinkins families, to David Jr., to Donna, who were right there with him every step of the way, his children who inspired him so much. This family served, every one of them served this city and made us great. Let's thank all of them. Now, it says here in my book I'm supposed to do some acknowledgments, but what I learned a long time ago is one ought not. One ought not make acknowledgments randomly. Not that Mayor Dinkins ever would have done such a thing. He never strayed when it came to acknowledgments. I don't remember anything like that. But I do want to acknowledge a few people because there's some special people here. And I'm going to name the ones I know are here, and there's others I want you to let yourselves be known here. But folks who served in Mayor Dinkins' administration and now are serving in my administration. So I want to thank Bill Chong, our Commissioner, Department of Youth and Community Development. And Fidel Del Valle, our Commissioner of Oath. And Marissa Lago, the Chair of the City Planning Commission. And the famous Barbara Turk, Director of the Office of Food Policy. Turk was so cool, she just went by her last name. I mentioned Weisbrod, I mentioned Segarra. They served in both our administrations. They will serve in the next 17 mayoral administrations as well. I want to thank the elected officials who are here. I want to thank Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, Assemblymember David Weprin, veteran of the Dinkins administration, Borough President Gail Brewer of Manhattan, DA Cy Vance of Manhattan, DA Darcel Clark of the Bronx. Special honorable mention. He is no longer in elective office, but he is an icon of this city, Congressman Charlie Rangel. We thank you. And then anyone who ever did anything for civil rights is here tonight. Al Sharpton, thank you. Herb Daughtry, Hazel Dukes. So many people who have changed this city, this state, this nation. We thank you all. And then two important acknowledgments. The man who brought us in with the musical stylings to take the A train, Joseph Falcon, our pianist, we thank you. And Charlene mentioned it, but I want people to understand the full import of it. You know, when they have the voiceover introducing of you, the so-called voice of God, it was Mark Benoit tonight. Mark Benoit is actually God. I did not know that. I wondered sometimes, but I didn't know it. So, Mayor Dinkins looks stunning this evening. He is, I'm sorry to all the men, but he is the best dressed man in the house tonight. That may be because he has showered and changed multiple times today. Very important. But I want to see how many I can get in here tonight. But seriously, I want to acknowledge. And I was asked this evening when I did an interview for New York One, and Errol Lewis said, what does it mean to celebrate David Dinkins? I said, we know it. All of us gathered here know it. I wish the people who wrote about New York City every day would acknowledge it. Wouldn't that be nice? But we know the truth. We know that the day this city started its path from unsafe to safe was when David Dinkins achieved Safe Streets, Safe City. And there are a lot of people here in the room who helped to achieve that. I want to give a special thanks to Ray Kelly. I saw Ray here. Thank you. Safe Streets, Safe City changed the trajectory of New York City. We are today the safest big city in America. That is a fact. And this is the man who put us on that path. We in this city today, we honor our youth more than we ever have in our history. We have more after-school programs than ever before, and the reason is because someone planted the seed with the Beacon schools, and that was David Dinkins. We have an extraordinarily diverse administration with talent, committed public servants of every conceivable background. That is true because that man right there, David Dinkins, made possible that vision for New York City. You go down the list of things that changed because of him, and you would be here all night. So it doesn't matter to me when I really think about the truth. It frustrates me that the truth is not told more often about David Dinkins. But we know it happened, and we know it's still happening, because every single one of us who were changed and elevated and shaped by David Dinkins, we're still doing the same things he believed in, aren't we? He said in his inaugural address something I think typifies so much of what he said and did in his work. He said, we're all foot soldiers on the march to freedom. That's how he lived. That's how he taught us. And by the way, his reach was so great that he helped speed the liberation of South Africa by having Nelson Mandela here in New York City. So he did not just talk about fostering freedom, he helped to shape it in this world. I have to tell you, we can't celebrate you enough, Mr. Mayor. And it's only fitting that this birthday party be right back here in one of the places where you made all that change for all of us. Before I bring up the mayor, I first have one more acknowledgement. I want to thank someone who, if I stay out of town more than 9 days, she becomes mayor, so be nice to her. Our public advocate, Tish James, thank you. Tish, I got back in 3 days. I just want to note that. Sorry. But we're going to do a very brief video presentation. Before we do, I just want to say, what did Mayor Dinkins always tell us? To keep the faith. And Mr. Mayor, we were your army, we're still your army, and we kept the faith. Happy birthday, Mayor Dinkins. And now we've got a special presentation. Someone who wanted to salute Mayor Dinkins' birthday.
I wish I could be with you in person tonight at Gracie Mansion, but I'm out of the country. So I'll have to use this to join with your family and your many friends in wishing you a very happy 90th birthday. Today's not only a milestone for you, it's also a milestone for the city you serve so well. When you were mayor, children had more opportunities. The most vulnerable among us had better access to care and more reasons to hope. And you brought 8 million people from over 170 different ethnic groups together into one genuine community, or as you called it, the gorgeous mosaic. And of course, I'll always be especially grateful for the role you played in bringing the 1992 Democratic Convention to New York and in bringing Nelson Mandela to my hotel suite to meet me and Hillary and Chelsea. The three of us all grew close to him and loved him very much. Another gift you gave us. So thanks, David, not just for your personal friendship and kindness, but for inspiring us all with your service and leadership. Your first 9 decades have been really remarkable. And lucky for us, you show no signs of slowing down anytime soon. I hope you enjoy, have a great celebration, and that you enjoy many, many more. Meanwhile, here's my birthday gift. I just want to be you when I grow up.
That's great. You ready? Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor David Dinkins.
Well,
we're going to sing properly later.
Okay. I cannot tell you how pleased I am. I'm amazed that so many people have turned out here. I truly am. And at the outset, I must thank Charlene and Bill for permitting us to gather here. And I want to thank especially some of you here who helped sponsor this event with dollars, which is very important because the mayor can't just open up the gates to Gracie Mansion. There's something called the Gracie Mansion Conservancy, and they kind of look over your shoulder at it. And so I'm very pleased that, and I won't attempt to acknowledge each person who contributed and helped make this possible, but I do want to especially thank Lee Bollinger, my boss. He's the president of Columbia University. As well as the SIPA, the School of International and Public Affairs, where I teach. You know, they're graduate students, and they're terrific. They're all a lot smarter than I am. But my buddy Peter Johnson, when I got evicted from Gracie Mansion, that's public housing, you know, I lost my other job and I got evicted, and so I said, but Peter said, well, why don't you think about teaching at Columbia? I said, Peter, I haven't practiced law since 1975. He said, no, SIPA. I said, what's SIPA? School of International and Public Affairs. So Peter took me up to Columbia, and we spent, in 2 days, we met with the president of the university and the dean of the school. And I just sat there looking stupid with my mouth hanging open. And Peter kept saying, well, he's a former mayor, he's got to have this, the former mayor got to have that. And so I've been there since January 1st, 1994, and I love it. I frequently, when I'm privileged to speak, even where Shirlane hasn't produced a speech for me, and she's one of my speechwriters, damn good. People used to think I was pretty smart because I used her words. But she didn't prepare a speech for me tonight, so you're all going to have to suffer with me through this. But because we're here in New York City and I am not infrequently in the presence of African diplomats, South Africans particularly, and they have a custom. And instead of acknowledging persons by name, all the people in there, and you don't know how hard it is for me to not do that right this minute. But they would say usual protocols observed, and that means that Al Sharpton has been observed. Donna, where's Donna? Donna, there she is. Shared interest. Boy, what an outfit that is. But let me, before I fail to say it, let me mention the other day, one of the birthday parties we had was at the National Action Network with Al Sharpton. And it was terrific, a great turnout, a lot of wonderful people. Many of them are here tonight. But what I never saw in the press, Al, was that he gave $5,000 to the cause to help the family of this police officer who was assassinated. And he did this, and I kept looking at the paper. I read the paper very early in the morning. I get up at 6, and I read the Post, your pardon the expression, the Times and the News. I read the Times to check the obits. Not as some people kid about looking to see if their name is there. That's not why I do it. I look to see the ages of people who are dying. And so, anyway, I've been scanning the papers. I have yet to see that mention now. When did they do it? Daily News? Well, thank you, Daily News. No, really. That's very important because, as we all say, we complain about what we see as the improper behavior of some, underlying some police officers. It's very important to know that we appreciate and acknowledge that the police officers put their lives on the line every day for the rest of us. And Al recognized that and said it. Before I go further, I really need to acknowledge my bride Joyce. We 64 years. And also here somewhere is our little boy. Well, he's 63. I call him Daddy's little fella. And his sister that I call Daddy's angel. And his sister has 2 children. One of them I call Granddaddy's little cupcake. And she's here, going to get married August 26th. So, God willing and the creek don't rise, I might get to be a great-grandfather. And our grandson, his father's a musician, and when he was an infant, he wrote a number called Little Tiger. And Little Tiger is somewhere here in this group, and I'm delighted that he's here. I got to tell you that I know, and many of you, because you're involved in events, and you recognize the effort that it takes to put together this kind of event. And so I'm not going to name all of those persons responsible, but let me tell you that I understand and appreciate what has been done on our behalf. You should know also that Percy Sutton has a son, Pepe. Basil Patterson has a grandson named Basil Patterson. Charlie Rangel has a grandson named Charlie Rangel. And of course, my bride and I, we have David. So we figured if we could get Pepe Sutton to change his name, we'd have a new gang of 4. I really ought not leave this podium without mentioning some of my dear friends and persons who work with us in our administration who made everything happen. Ellen Alpert, Nick Balamachi, Mark Benoit, who thinks he sounds like me, and Anita Kawatra in the lead. Anita's mommy is here also, terrific, brilliant woman. She's got a lovely place out in Long Island with all this grass, and I keep telling her that I'm going to build a tennis court out there. But now that I have aged out of tennis, she can not worry too much. I might let that go. I'm told others who played a role in bringing us together here are Herbert Block, who, Herbie, I'm one of the few people permitted to call him Herbie because his father, Rabbi Irving Block, and his mother and I raised him. I'm a little kid I think maybe 12 or 13 years old when we first met. And he's terrific. And sometimes when I would meet as mayor, I'd meet with members of the Jewish community, and I said, well, I'm going to have you talk to Herbert. And they thought I was sort of shunning them off. Little did they know how smart he was, how good he was. So anyway, Herbert Block and Larry Bortoluzzi, Laura Hart. Where's the Hart? I haven't seen her tonight. Jack Kelleher, who I understand really did a job. Katie Marshall, Michael Schlein, and my buddy Ken Sunshine, who's been with me forever. These are just some of the people who helped pull this together tonight. I want to tell you a story that most of you who know me and know me a long time have heard before, but some of you have not heard this, and I feel you need to hear it. When my bride and I were riding in a limousine when I was mayor, I see a fellow with a shovel digging a ditch. I said, Joyce, that's her name, Joyce. I said, see that fellow with the shovel digging that ditch? Isn't that the fellow you used to date? I said, now, I'm not knocking ditch digging. I have dug ditches, waited tables, washed dishes, washed cars, worked in factories. I truly have. And when I was about 8 or 9 years old, at 125th and 8th Avenue, they used to sell fruit and vegetables from push carts. But they wouldn't give you a shopping bag. You had to buy one. So I used to buy them 3 for a nickel and sell them at 2 cents a piece. And when I got together 10 cents and went and bought something for my mother, I was the proudest little guy you ever saw. So I have, Herb Daughtry, you understand, I have had lots of jobs. So I'm not knocking ditch digging. But that is the fellow you used to date, isn't it? She said, yeah, matter of fact, it is. I said, see, if you'd married him, you'd be the wife of a ditch digger. She said, no, if I married him, he'd be mayor. And we had, this really is the fourth in a series of birthday celebrations, and I'm so grateful for this. At one, for the Association to Benefit Children, beautiful little kids, and we raised a lot of money on that night for them. But somebody quoted to me this: think where a man's glory most begins and ends, and say my glory was I had such friends. Well, that's me. I recognize that much that we were able to accomplish, and we did get some things done, but it was because of you and so many others. And I am so pleased and proud that you permitted me to be associated with you. God bless you all. Keep the faith.
Well, the mayor covered a number of the greatest hits himself. That was that last story we all loved, especially Joyce, well deserved. Got one more person who's going to speak to us. He has an important presentation to make. I'd like to call up Michael Garner, President of Board of Directors of 100 Black Men of New York City and Chief Diversity Officer at the MTA.
Good evening. On behalf of the official board and the vice presidents of the 100 Black Men, the founding chapter of the 100 Black Men, we just stopped by tonight to wish our Mayor Dinkins a happy birthday and thank him for his leadership of being one of the founders of the founding chapter of the 100 Black Men. We're the founding chapter in 1963, 97 chapters across the globe. In this great city, in the past year, partnering with Cy Vance, the Manhattan DA, and NYPD, we garnered 160 guns off the street in Harlem in 2 days. For the second year in a row, we've issued $100,000 in college scholarships 2 years in a row and counting. With one of our sponsors, Walmart, we fed 8,000 people during the holidays of this year and the previous 3 years. So we want to thank our founder, Mayor David Dinkins, for his leadership and his vision, and to simply stop by to say, we stand on your shoulders and we love you.
All right, now, we're about to do a very important thing together because we're going to have an opportunity to sing, so I want you to get your voices ready. Let me also acknowledge Governor David Patterson is with us. Thank you, Governor. And hold on. All right, come on, one big round of applause. 90 years. That is a serious cake. All right, everyone, we're going to start distributing this cake, I think, but Mayor Dinkins is going to be here to greet his followers a little more.